Welcome, heroes!
Hello!
To our first ever episode of the Great Story Project podcast. We are so excited today to be starting this whole new journey with y'all. And you might be wondering, why on earth are we doing this? We are just two normal people
Ordinary
going
blokes.
about our lives. So today, we will be discussing who we are, why we are, and the mission of our podcast. So, are you ready to embark on this call to adventure?
Let the journey begin.
Have you ever struggled with finding meaning and purpose in everyday life?
My name is Mindy.
And my name is Kayla. And this is the Great Story Project, where we share how life-changing adventures don't just exist in fairy tales, but in real life.
And even you can make your own life story great. Okay, so this is so fun to be with you guys here. This is a whole new journey for us. We just want to say we're plunging forward into this world of the unknown with all of our flaws, all of our foibles, but we're doing it because we are passionate. We have this fire that burns inside of us about becoming our best selves and about becoming heroes in our own story. So in every podcast, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to offer new thoughts. We're going to offer adventures and recipes and strategies and frameworks to help you to get away from some of your blocks, because all of us know that sometimes we just get stuck. And if we keep thinking the same thoughts over and over again and we don't ever have good input, then we just keep living the same life. And that's totally what my story was being like. I'll tell you more about my story in a minute. But once I got new input, the world opened up. So that's part of why we're here and what we're going to be doing. But then, of course, to start us out, let us just share about who we are. So I'm Mindy. I am a mother and a wife. I've been married for 23 years to an amazing guy who has been my support and my confidant and has taught me so much. He is amazing. Matt, love you, babe. And then I've got 4 amazing children. My oldest is 19, all the way down to almost 14. And of course, this is my daughter. She's the best ever. It is the coolest thing to be able to be doing this with my daughter. So, okay, so I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I also went to BYU. So yes, we're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I studied elementary education, but I put all of that on pause to be a stay-at-home mom for a long time. But then my good friend came to me and said, "Do you want to open up a school?" It was one of those call to adventure moments that we'll talk about later in the podcast. It was big. It was a big call. And so I entered in. Michelle Bowen, thank you for that. And I have been a guide at an Acton Academy this is my 7th year. And hands down, it has been one of the biggest learning experiences of my life and has really shot me up in my trajectory for growth. And then because of that, and because of other things too, I eventually, just recently, became a certified high performance coach from the High Performance Institute with Brendan Burchard, and he is awesome. So those are some of the big accomplishments of my life. I also am a bibliotherapy enthusiast. We will talk more about that later, but if you just Google that, bibliotherapy, like Greg Denning, he's also one of my mentors, you will find some amazing stuff. But that's just a little bit about me. All right, Kayla, take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kayla McLane, and I just recently turned 16 years old. And
16,
I have 3 brothers and 2 wonderful parents, one of which is with me right here, my wonderful mom. She is my best friend and one of the most incredible people that I know. So just be ready to sit at her feet and listen to everything that she has to say because she's truly incredible. And so I go to a school called Acton Leadership Academy. And at this school, I have learned all of the life lessons that I need, I feel. I've learned about lots about leadership and communication and serving others and how to work with others. And then just about taking hold of my life and being willing to follow my dreams and just go for it, you know? And so I feel like all of those have led me to where I am today. So among some of my favorite things, I love to sing. And you learn this about me. If you don't know who I am, then you haven't had the experience of being in the room when I just sing and sing and sing and sing and sing.
I was
Anyway.
kind of freaking out because I just want you guys to know she has a voice like an angel, and she will be singing on this podcast. So if for no other reason than to listen to this podcast is be because she'll sing. She's going to sing for us. And she writes music. It's so gorgeous.
So yeah, I write music on my ukulele, and then I love to do theater shows, and I just sing all the time. So that's one thing that I love to do. And then my number one favorite thing is I love words. I love to talk to people. I love to hear what people have to say. That's number one. And then I love, love, love to read. Guys, it's a problem. As you see, there's some of my books back here, but I love to read everything about it. I've been reading ever since I was little. I devour it. And that is a great leeway into the last one, is that I love to write. And I feel like that's actually one of my callings in life, is to share my words with others. So it is my biggest dream to become a young adult fantasy author. And so you might be wondering what a story expert and and a high performance coach are doing together and why we did this.
So it all started on a dark and stormy night. Just kidding. It wasn't dark and stormy. It was actually beautiful and nice. But so at our school, Kayla was doing a presentation. And the context is this. They were given this prompt to say, if you had an investor that was going to give you $200,000, what would you use it for? And what would it be about? And so I'm sitting there watching this presentation, her give this presentation. She gives this amazing slideshow, which you're about to view. And she gives this whole presentation. And at the end, this idea, she pops in. So we're going to let her share this beautiful presentation that she was giving, because this is why we're here, right? This all started this, and this will be a big theme and the mission of our podcast. So enjoy this little interlude of just knowledge of greatness around stories.
So yeah, if you didn't get that, this is the point to listen up, because this is going to be the whole theme of our whole podcast.
Get ready.
And it's kind of like the theme of my life right now. So we're going to just get into it. So like I said, I have always loved stories ever since I was little. I just devour them like candy. You know, all my brothers would be playing video games, and I'm like, why would you want to be playing video games or doing other things when you could be literally watching a whole story about characters and all these things, right? And I was like, that's crazy.
Reading a whole story about characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until much later that I realized why these stories meant so much to me. And you see, the reason why every classic Disney movie or young adult series like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, and The Hunger Games are so popular is because they follow a certain recipe. That's right. Stories don't just happen, but there is a specific science to them. They are meticulously constructed and specifically designed to resonate with us. So let's go into the presentation. Oh, by the way, you're gonna love my stick figures. They're great.
Imagine.
Okay.
Yourself.
So your character starts in their normal status quo. This is just their normal life. Okay, they're going about their life, except they have a fear and a misbelief that they need to overcome, and they are dissatisfied with their life in some way. And because of that dissatisfaction, there is something that they really, really want. But their fear has been keeping them from going after the thing that they want. Until one day, there is the call to adventure, the impetus, the catalyst, the moment we've all been waiting for, when your character is pushed outside of their comfort zone and forced into their adventure and their journey. From that moment on, they embark on a venture where they make fear-based decisions to get what they want, whilst also avoiding their greatest fear. Of course, things never actually go that way, and they get slammed in the face because of the misbelief and fear-based decisions that they've made. They've now found themselves in the pit of despair. This is the moment where all is lost, where they feel like there is no way out. But then, in that moment, this is when they realize that they were wrong all along. But the thing that they wanted wasn't actually the thing that they needed. And so, in that moment, they will have to overcome their misbelief and overcome their fear. And then they will have their final showdown where they will go after their foes and face their fears and achieve the challenges that they were meant to achieve. And then they will ascend to a higher plane and having gained special knowledge of the things that they didn't have before, they are no longer the same person. So yeah, that's basically the gist of a really, really good story. So the question is, why does this resonate with us so much? Why do these stories matter so much? And the answer is because we relate to these characters because we are living our own story. And we all have fears and misbeliefs and things that we need to overcome. And so when we see that other characters, people who are even fictional people that are following their dreams and facing their fears, it makes us think maybe we can too. And so I love this idea of stories and having my own adventure, and I always wish that I could crawl into the stories of books and have my own magic powers and ride dragons.
She's got an awesome song about that, by the way, that will be on the podcast.
Yeah. But that just wasn't realistic, obviously. But I realized that I too can live my very own exciting adventure. And that thought was just like blew me away. And so right now I am so happy. I am doing things that I never thought was possible. I'm writing my first book. I'm starting a podcast with my mom.
Right? I know.
I'm getting my driver's license, which is, I'm totally not scared about that. I'm living my own good adventure and I feel happy. I feel excited. I feel like there's meaning and purpose to life. But I see so many people who are lost and they haven't found that spark yet. And they're just wandering aimlessly through life. And because of that, they just fall into depression and anxiety and apathetic tendencies. And I've always just had this burning desire to help those people see there's a great story that you can live. Like happiness is available.
And so it was at this moment, you guys. So she's saying all of this, and it was like, light came down, and like, that's how we can work with helping others is actually do a podcast with this term that she came up with called the Great Story Project. Because what were your ideas for the Great Story Project? Were you going to have like courses and
Yeah, it was going to be like a whole online course, but I actually think that I just especially just starting with the podcast, I feel like the podcast can be really powerful.
Right. That might be some way down the line. But So it was at that moment I was like, well, we could start with the podcast. We could do this here and now. And so that's where this came to be. And so you guys have a master storyteller, a master story. How would you say it?
Story expert.
A story expert in this girl right here. And then
she is the high performance coach.
Right.
So we got the story expert, and the high performance coach putting our little measly wisdom together to bring you the Great Story Project podcast.
She said it good. Okay, so I want to add a little bit more to this because there's a layer for me, an additional layer of why I am here and why I have found myself at this point in my life right now. Because when I was younger, I had a beautiful life. I knew about the gospel of Jesus Christ. I knew who Jesus was. I knew the light that he was, but I had a lot of blocks. I had a lot of misbeliefs, just like Kayla was talking about in her stories. And I just couldn't quite find the happiness and the peace that I was looking for. And so I felt like I was just going around kind of lost in the dark. And it's almost like if I could have this story playing in my mind of this apocalyptic situation where people are walking and their heads are down, it's dark, everyone is forced to hold this candle and none of them are lit. So everyone's just in the dark. And I know this is kind of weird, but just go with me. This is what I'm seeing in my brain. And I'm in this dark space. I don't have the light. And but I know I need it. So I'm searching and I'm looking, and I come upon someone who has bright light, and they help me light my candle, and they help me find this great light that I've been looking for. So here I have this newly found light, and I'm just like, oh, I feel like I've been like let out of a prison, just like full and ready to move forward. But then like I look around and I see people that don't have the light, that feel stuck, just like Kayla was talking about, that she feels like she sees lots of her friends and people around her struggling with happiness, struggling with being absolutely in love with our lives.
Especially teenagers.
I know, teenagers, I love you guys. Like we're gonna work together on this, right? So I feel now like there's this deep calling inside of me to help share light and knowledge that can help us improve who we are, that can help us really live into this idea of this like really great life. And no matter what life throws at us, because I mean, hello, have you read watched the Lord of the Ring movies or watched Harry Potter? I mean, there's a ton of crap that happens, right? There's a ton of scary bad things, but like the story is exciting. So like we can make the story exciting in our own lives.
We can choose our own call to adventures. We don't have to be thrust into them. And that's a hard lesson to learn.
Exactly.
Anyway, but then one last thing that I wanted to say. The idea is to never relinquish your incredible potential by resigning to be a side character in your own story.
That's so well said. Because, yeah, you can't be the side character in your own story. And you're like waiting for someone else to make the plot happen.
And I have a song about that too. So.
Awesome. Get so excited, you guys. Okay, so hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight into who we are and why we're here. Get excited because also, so in future podcasts, like seriously, this is the story podcast. So we're going to be talking about movies. We're going to be talking about books. We're going to be talking about real life people that we know and love, that we get inspiration from, that are really living their own great stories. So we're going to be in all of that space. And there might be times you might want to always look in like the show notes, because we might do some spoilers. So you're going to have homework.
Yeah, you need to go home and just watch all the movies that we tell you to watch.
Right?
And read the books. Because we are bibliotherapy enthusiasts.
That's a hard word to say, you guys. Okay, so we're going to have fun on this podcast, and we're also just going to ask you for just your grace as we are charging forward into this new adventure. Because, guys, this is like our own call to adventure to do this podcast. Yep. I mean, hopefully you can't see like maybe the trepidation or like, what are we doing? But like, we kind of feel that way, but we're like, no way. Dude, no way. We're accepting this call to adventure and we're moving forward into the world of the unknown. And that's what heroes do. So to end every single podcast, you're going to get a quote from a movie expert. Movie expert?
Story
expert. And you're going to get a quote from me into personal development. And one of my favorite mentors is James Allen. So if you've not heard of James Allen, he's got a book called, well, this is like the mastery. This has 20 of his books in one. So if you become like a nerd geek like me and James Allen, you should get this. But As a Man Thinketh is truly the most profound book that you'll ever read.
It's literally 30 pages, $2. Best decision you'll ever make. Yeah. Go get it. Go get it right now.
That's like homework number one for you.
Go get it.
Okay, we're assuming that you went and bought the book on Amazon. It's being delivered to your house, and you'll be caught up to all that we know. So in his book, I will be quoting him a lot, actually, because he is the thought master. And I really believe that we must guard and master what's happening in our thought world. So here's his quote. Enjoy. You are the thinker of your thoughts, and as such, you are the maker of yourself and condition. You imagine your circumstance as being separate from yourself, but they are intimately related to your thought world. As you think, you travel. As you love, you attract. You are today where your thoughts have brought you. and you will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. You cannot escape the results of your thoughts. Sheesh, you guys, that's so powerful. Like, our thoughts matter.
Amen. Okay, and so then my quote is from an awesome movie. It's called Mr. Magorium's Wonder Emporium.
So good, you guys. Homework number 2.
Exactly. Go watch this movie. It's really epic. Anyway, so the main plot revolves around Mr. Magorium, who is this amazing man who's lived a life. He's like 200 years old. I don't know. It's funny, okay? And then this girl named Mahoney, who is struggling to find her call to adventure and live the life of her dreams. So there's this part, and Mr. Magorium says, 37 seconds. And Mahoney says, great. Now we wait. And he replies, no. We breathe. We pulse. We regenerate. Our hearts beat. Our minds create. Our souls ingest. 37 seconds well used is a lifetime.
It's so good. I love it. We're at the end now of our very first podcast. Good job. That was good. We're planning on doing this every 2 weeks. And we are so, so excited to share with you guys.
And just another side note, we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And we love Jesus and we love the gospel. And we also believe that it can be a beautiful part and is even vital to your life and personal development, and Jesus go so well together. And we're going to talk more about that. But if you are not a member or you don't want to like listen to that or all these things, then in the title we'll just have the ones where we talk about our faith a lot. We'll just say faith-based in the title, so you can know if like, hey, it's not really what I want to listen to, but maybe you should because it's pretty cool. Anyway, So don't forget, every minute is an adventure, and you are writing your own story, whether you like it or not.
So make it a page turner.